The refrigerator light died on a Tuesday. I didn't bother calling anyone. What was the point? The electric bill sat unpaid on the counter, third notice in red letters. I opened the door anyway, more from habit than hope. Empty shelves stared back at me, not even a jar of mustard. Just that sharp chemical smell of old plastic and broken machinery. 61 years old, and I was standing in my own kitchen wondering when I'd eat next. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I used to run facilities for the county hospital system. 23 years, keeping boilers running, making sure generators kicked on during storms, coordinating repairs across 4 buildings. Good work, honest work, the kind where you came home tired but satisfied. My pension wasn't huge, but it was enough. Or it should have been. My daughter Jennifer had other ideas. Dad, I just need temporary access to handle some things for you. That's what she said 6 months ago. She had the papers already printed out. Power of attorney, direct deposit routing changes. Just to make everything easier, her husband Derek stood behind her, nodding like one of those dashboard bobbleheads. I signed because she was my daughter. Because after her mother died, we only had each other. Because I wanted to believe she gave a damn. The first month, everything seemed fine. Checks cleared, bills paid, then small things started disappearing. The cable got shut off. No big deal, I told myself. I didn't watch much TV anyway, then the internet, then the newspaper subscription I'd had for 30 years. Budget adjustments, Dad. We're being smart with your money. Smart? Right. I called her last week after I found the notice from the power company. Final warning before disconnection. She didn't answer. I left 3 messages. Nothing. I tried Derek's number, straight to voicemail. Then yesterday, the mail came. Postcards. 4 of them, glossy and bright. Jennifer and Derek on a beach somewhere tropical. Palm trees, clear water. Drinks with little umbrellas. On the back of one, written in her looping handwriting, having the most amazing time. The resort is incredible. You'd love it here. She didn't write my address. These weren't meant for me. They'd gotten mixed up, probably. Sent to the wrong batch. But I had them now, and I couldn't stop staring at her tan, smiling face. My stomach growled. I'd eaten the last can of soup 2 days ago. I sat at the kitchen table. The postcards spread out in front of me like evidence at a crime scene. The math wasn't complicated. My pension covered basic living expenses, nothing fancy. But a resort vacation? Caribbean quality drinks and rooms with ocean views? That took real money. My money. The house was quiet except for the ticking of the wall clock. My father's clock, the one that survived his service in Korea and 40 years in a machine shop. It kept time through everything. Unlike people. I should have been angry, should have been calling lawyers, banks, anyone who'd listen. But anger requires energy, and I was running on empty. What I felt instead was something colder, clearer. I picked up my phone and dialed her number again. This time, she answered on the 4th ring. Dad, hey, sorry I've been hard to reach. Background noise, people talking, music, the unmistakable sound of waves. We're just on a little getaway. Needed a break, you know how it is. Jennifer, the power's about to be cut. Silence. Then, oh, really? I'll look into it when we get back. When are you getting back? Friday, probably. Maybe Saturday. Derek's really enjoying the diving here. I haven't eaten in 2 days. Another pause, longer this time. When she spoke again, her voice had changed. Not worried, irritated. Dad, come on. Don't be dramatic. There's food in the house. There isn't. Check the pantry. I'm sure there's something. I've checked everything. A sigh. The kind you give a difficult child. Look, we'll talk about all this when I'm back, okay? I really can't deal with this right now. We're about to go to dinner. Jennifer. Love you, Dad. Bye. I set the phone down carefully, like it might explode. Through the kitchen window, I could see Mrs. Pacheco watering her garden next door. She waved, I waved back. Normal people doing normal things on a normal afternoon. Except nothing about this was normal. I stood up slowly. My left knee complained, old injury from a fall off a ladder back in '09. I walked through the house, doing an inventory. The TV was gone. When did that happen? Last month sometime. Getting it repaired, Jennifer had said. The good rug from the living room. Cleaning, my mother's china cabinet that used to sit in the dining room. Storage, Dad. It's safer there. My house was being stripped piece by piece, and I'd been too trusting or too stupid to see it. In my bedroom, I opened the closet. My work boots were still there, the steel-toed ones I'd worn for 2 decades. My tool belt hung on its hook, heavy with the weight of screwdrivers and pliers and tape measures. The uniform shirts, even though I'd been retired 4 years now. Old habits. I never threw anything useful away. I pulled out a box from the top shelf. Papers, documents, the boring accumulation of an adult life, birth certificate, marriage license, divorce from my first wife before Jennifer's mother, service records, pay stubs going back to the 90s. And there, in a manila folder, copies of everything I'd signed for Jennifer. I'd kept them out of habit, the same instinct that made me keep old tax returns and instruction manuals for appliances I didn't own anymore. I spread them on the bed and started reading. The power of attorney was broader than I remembered. All financial matters included real estate. I owned this house outright, paid off 15 years ago, the pension routing forms, the bank account changes, and something else, a document I didn't remember signing at all, something about asset management and discretionary distribution. Discretionary, meaning she could decide what I got and when. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Mr. Bennett, this is Cascade Electric. We're calling about your past due account. Without payment by tomorrow, we'll have to disconnect service. How much? $473. Nearly half a month's pension. Money that was supposed to be automatic, direct deposited, handled by Jennifer. What if I can't pay by tomorrow? We can work out a payment plan, but we'll need an initial deposit of at least $200 to prevent shutoff. I'll call you back. I hung up before he could respond. $200. I didn't have 20. I went to the kitchen drawer where I used to keep emergency cash. Empty. Another drawer. Nothing. I checked my wallet. $16 and a coupon for oil changes. The wall clock ticked steadily. Almost 4 in the afternoon. I made a decision then. Not a loud one, not a dramatic one. Just a quiet recognition that something fundamental had changed. My daughter had taken everything I'd worked for and left me alone to starve while she sipped cocktails on a beach. She'd done it knowingly, deliberately, and she'd done it because she thought I was too old, too weak, too trusting to do anything about it. She was right about the trusting part, but she was wrong about everything else. I picked up the phone again and called Michael Torres. We'd worked together for 15 years before he'd moved over to county administration. If anyone could explain what my legal rights were with these documents, it was him. Bennett, haven't heard from you in forever. How's retirement treating you? Could be better. Mike, I need some advice. Not legal advice, just friend advice. Shoot. I explained the situation. Not all of it, not the full humiliation, just the basics. Documents signed, access given, money mysteriously tight. Mike was quiet for a long time, then, Jesus, Tom, I'm sorry. Look, you need a lawyer, a real one. This is elder financial abuse, probably, but documentation-wise, if she's got PUA and you're still competent, which you are, you can revoke it any time. It's just paperwork. What about the money she's already spent? That's trickier. You'd have to prove it wasn't for your benefit, and even then, civil court takes forever. But first things first, revoke her access. Today, if you can. Go to your bank, bring your ID, tell them you want to remove all authorized users from your accounts and change your POA. They can do it on the spot. And the pension? Same thing. Call them, explain you want to change the direct deposit back to your original account. They might need a notarized form, but it's doable. Tom, seriously, do this today. Don't wait. Thanks, Mike. You need anything else? Money? I can spot you a couple $100 if it helps. Pride made me want to say no. Common sense overruled it. That would help. Power's about to get shut off. I'll Venmo it right now. And Tom, be careful. If she's been this brazen already, she's not going to take kindly to you shutting her out. I'll keep that in mind. After we hung up, I sat there staring at the postcards again. Jennifer on the beach, radiant and carefree, my money funding her happiness while I sat in the dark. My phone buzzed. The Venmo transfer, $200. Enough to keep the lights on. I called the power company back and made the payment. Then I called the bank. They were closed, but their automated system told me the nearest branch opened at 9 a.m. I'd be there when they unlocked the doors. The pension office would take longer. Government bureaucracy always did. But Mike's advice was sound. Cut off her access first. Ask questions later. I made one more call. My old supervisor at the hospital, Helen Briggs. She'd retired the same time I did, but we'd stayed in touch. Holiday cards, the occasional coffee. Tom Bennett, as I live and breathe, please tell me you're calling to get drinks because I am bored out of my skull. Helen, I need your memory. That storage facility we used for old equipment, the one on Industrial Way, is it still active? Far as I know. Why? Can you remember the access codes, or who runs it now? Tom, what are you planning? Nothing illegal. I just need some space to work, somewhere private. And I thought, old time's sake, maybe I could rent a unit cheap. The county still owns it, and between you and me, they barely keep track of what's there. I think Gary Mendez is the facilities guy now. You remember Gary? Young kid, always asked you questions about the boiler system. I remember. Call him, tell him I said hello. He worshipped the ground you walked on, probably give you whatever you need. Thanks, Helen. Tom? Everything okay? It will be. I hung up before she could press further. The sun was setting, casting long shadows through the windows. My stomach had stopped growling, gone numb instead. Hunger did that after a while. Your body just gave up asking. I walked to the bathroom and looked at myself in the mirror. Gray hair, thinner than it used to be, lines around my eyes, the weathered skin of someone who'd spent decades in maintenance spaces and equipment rooms. I looked old, but I didn't feel old, not anymore. I felt focused. Tomorrow I'd go to the bank and burn Jennifer's access to ashes. I'd start the paperwork to reclaim my pension. I'd call Gary Mendez and secure a space where I could work without interruption. And then I'd figure out exactly how much my daughter had taken, and exactly what it would cost her to give it back. Not in money, she'd already spent that, but there were other currencies. Comfort, security, the unshakable belief that the world was a safe place where bad things happened to other people. I was about to teach her differently. The refrigerator hummed its broken hum in the kitchen. I walked back to it and opened the door one more time. The empty shelves, the smell of neglect. I stood there for a long moment, memorizing it. The specific quality of this betrayal. Then I closed the door and went to bed hungry. For the last time. Before we continue, hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We'd love to get to know our audience better. The bank opened at 9. I was there at 8:45, sitting on the bench outside with my folder of documents. 3 other people waited with me. An older woman with a walker, a young guy in construction clothes, and a mother with 2 small kids, already fighting over a tablet. Normal people with normal problems. At 9 exactly, a woman in a blue blazer unlocked the glass doors. Good morning, everyone. We'll be right with you. I went straight to the service desk. The nameplate read, Monica Reeves, Client Services. How can I help you today? I need to remove an authorized user from my accounts and revoke a power of attorney. Her professional smile didn't waver. Of course. May I see your ID, please? I handed over my driver's license and the paperwork. She typed on her computer, frowning slightly. Mr. Bennett, I show that Jennifer Bennett has full POA and is listed as the primary contact on your checking, savings, and pension deposit accounts. To make these changes, I'll need to verify your identity with some security questions. Go ahead. Mother's maiden name? Kowalski. First car? 67 Dodge Dart. And the name of your elementary school? Lincoln. She typed more, her frown deepening. Mr. Bennett, I'm showing that your address was changed on all accounts 3 weeks ago. Is that correct? Changed to what? She turned the screen. The address was Jennifer's condo. No, that's not correct. This is my address. I pointed to the driver's license. That other one is my daughter's. Monica's expression shifted from professional to concerned. I see. And you didn't authorize that change? I didn't even know about it. Okay, she typed rapidly. I'm going to get my manager. This is a bit more complex than a standard POA revocation. Please wait here. She disappeared through a door behind the counter. I sat in the uncomfortable chair, watching other customers come and go. The mother with the kids was arguing with a teller about overdraft fees. The construction guy left with a stack of deposit slips. 10 minutes passed. 15. Finally, Monica returned with a man in his 50s, wearing a tie that didn't quite match his shirt. Mr. Bennett, I'm Gerald Hoffman, branch manager. I understand we have a situation here. That's one word for it. Come back to my office, please. His office was small and windowless, decorated with stock photos of beaches, ironic given my current circumstances. He closed the door and sat behind his desk. Monica briefed me on what's happening. I want you to know we take potential elder financial abuse very seriously. Can you walk me through what's been going on? I told him. Not everything, but enough. The POA I'd signed, thinking it was for convenience. The slow disappearance of funds. The bills going unpaid while my daughter vacationed. The address change I never authorized. Hoffman took notes. Here's what I can do today. I can revoke Jennifer Bennett's POA status and remove her as an authorized user on all accounts. I can change the address back to your residence. I can also flag the accounts for suspicious activity review. What I can't do is tell you where the money went or get it back. That would require law enforcement or legal action. I understand. Just cut her off. Before I do that, I need to ask, are you in immediate danger? Do you feel threatened? No. And you're making this decision freely, no coercion? Yes. He nodded and started typing. This will take about 30 minutes to process. We'll need you to sign several forms. I'm also going to have our fraud department contact you next week about the unauthorized address change. That's a separate issue. Whatever you need. The paperwork was extensive, form after form, each requiring a signature or initials. I read every one carefully. After the debacle with Jennifer, I wasn't signing anything without understanding it completely. While Hoffman printed documents, I asked, "How much is actually in my accounts right now?" More typing. His expression answered before his words did. "Your checking account shows a balance of $87. Savings is at $412. $500 total. My pension was nearly $1,400 a month. Even accounting for bills, there should have been thousands in savings. When was the last time a large amount was withdrawn? Let me check. Looks like $5,000 was transferred out 2 weeks ago. Electronic transfer to an account at Pacific Coast Credit Union." Jennifer's bank. I'd seen the name on her statements. Before that? Multiple transfers over the past 6 months, ranging from $500 to $3,000, always to the same receiving account. "Can you give me a total?" He calculated. "Approximately $18,000 since January." $18,000. 6 months of my pension, gone, and I'd been living like a pauper, thinking I was just being irresponsible with money somehow. "Print me a record of all transfers, please, every transaction for the last year." "Of course." When everything was signed and processed, I walked out with a folder full of evidence, transaction histories showing exactly when and how much Jennifer had taken, the revocation paperwork, a new debit card since the old one was compromised, and a balance that wouldn't cover rent, food, and utilities through the end of the month, but at least it was mine again. I stopped at the McDonald's next door. First meal in 3 days, a breakfast sandwich and coffee that tasted better than it had any right to. I sat in a booth by the window and called the pension office. Automated system, option after option. Finally, a human voice. "Federal Employee Retirement System. This is Donna speaking. I need to change my direct deposit information. My pension is currently being routed to the wrong account." "I can help with that. May I have your claim number?" I read it off an old statement I'd found in the document box. "And your full legal name?" "Thomas James Bennett." "Thank you, Mr. Bennett. I show your pension is currently deposited to account number ending in 3847. Is that correct?" "No, it should be ending in 2109. "I see. To make this change, I'll need to send you a form SF 1199A. You'll need to fill it out, have it notarized, and return it with a voided check from the new account. The change will take effect 2 pay periods after we receive the completed form." "How long is that?" "Approximately 6 to 8 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks? 2 more pension payments would go to Jennifer's account before I could stop it. Is there any way to expedite this?" "Unfortunately, no. These are federal regulations. But I can email you the form today if you provide an email address." I gave her my email, thanked her, and hung up. 2 more months of Jennifer having access to my money. Unless... I called the bank back. Monica answered. "Ms. Reeves, it's Thomas Bennett. I was just in about the POA revocation. Quick question. If my pension keeps getting deposited to my account here, but I've removed the authorized user, my daughter can't access those funds, correct?" "That's correct. With the POA revoked and her access removed, she has no authority to withdraw or transfer anything from your account." "What about deposits that are already scheduled?" "The deposits will still come through. She just can't touch them once they arrive." "Perfect. Thank you." That bought me breathing room. Jennifer would see the money hitting my account and wouldn't be able to touch it. That knowledge alone was satisfying. I finished my coffee and called Gary Mendez. "County Facilities, this is Gary." "Gary, it's Tom Bennett. Used to run operations at the hospital campus." "Mr. Bennett? Wow, it's been forever. How are you?" "I've been better. Helen Briggs said you might be able to help me out. I'm looking to rent a storage unit at the old county facility on Industrial Way. Something small, just need workspace for a personal project." "Oh, man. I don't know if we're set up for private rentals. That's mostly overflow storage for county equipment now. But let me check with my supervisor. Can I call you back?" "Please do." I gave him my number and hung up. While I waited, I drove to the public library. My internet was shut off at home, but the library had computers and free Wi-Fi. I logged into my email. Sure enough, the form from the pension office was there. I printed 2 copies and read through it carefully. Straightforward enough. I'd need to get to a bank that could notarize, but that was doable. Then I did something I should have done months ago. I Googled how to check property records. The county assessor's website came up. I entered my address. The record loaded. Owner, Thomas James Bennett. That was good. But there was another line I hadn't expected. Recent filings. Quitclaim deed, recorded March 15th. March, 4 months ago. I clicked the link. The document loaded. Legal language I had to parse carefully. But the essence was clear. I had signed over a partial interest in my home to Jennifer Ann Bennett. Not full ownership, but enough that she could claim an equity stake. I didn't remember signing that. But there it was, complete with what looked like my signature. I printed the document and sat staring at it. The signature looked right. The notary seal looked official. But I had no memory of this transaction at all. Either I'd signed something I didn't understand, or I zoomed in on the signature line, examined it closely, compared it to my actual signature on the pension form I'd just printed. Close, very close, but not quite right. The T in Thomas had a slightly different hook. The J in James was too angular. Someone had forged my signature, and Jennifer was the obvious suspect. My phone rang. Gary Mendez. Mr. Bennett, good news. My supervisor says we can rent you a unit for $50 a month, utilities included. It's not fancy, just a 10 by 10 with a roll door and a work light. But if that works for you, I can get you access today. That works perfectly. Great. Can you meet me there in an hour? I'll have the paperwork ready. I'll be there. I logged out of the library computer and sat in the car for a moment, thinking. The house situation was more serious than I'd realized. If Jennifer had forged a quitclaim deed, she was planning something bigger than just draining my bank account. She was going after the only real asset I had. I needed to document everything, build a case. Not for court. That would take too long and cost too much. But for my own purposes. I needed to understand the full scope of what she'd done before I decided how to respond. The storage facility was exactly what I needed. A long, low building divided into numbered units surrounded by a chain-link fence. Gary met me at the gate with a clipboard and a friendly smile. Unit 14, end of the row. Private entrance, no neighbors. Perfect for whatever you're working on. I appreciate this, Gary. Hey, after everything you taught me about HVAC systems, this is the least I can do. You probably saved me from flooding the whole hospital basement that time with the condensate pump. You figured it out yourself. I just pointed you in the right direction. He unlocked the unit and handed me 2 keys. One for the gate, one for the padlock. You've got 24/7 access. Just don't do anything illegal, and we're good. Scout's honor. After Gary left, I stood in the empty unit and took inventory. Concrete floor, metal walls, one work light hanging from the ceiling, a power outlet. That was it. It was perfect. I spent the rest of the afternoon setting up. I drove to a thrift store and bought a folding table, a chair, and a filing cabinet, then to an office supply store for folders, notebooks, and a large wall calendar. Everything paid for with Mike Torres's Venmo transfer. By evening, I had my war room. On the wall, I'd tacked up a timeline. January to present, with every incident I could remember. Bills going unpaid, items disappearing from the house, Jennifer's excuses, the vacation, in the filing cabinet, bank statements, the quitclaim deed, the POA documents, everything organized and labeled. On the table, a notebook where I started writing down everything I knew about Jennifer's life. Her address, her work schedule, she managed a boutique hotel downtown, Derek's job at a software company, their friends, the ones I'd met at holiday gatherings, their routines, their habits. I wasn't planning anything violent, nothing illegal, but I needed to understand their world before I could disrupt it. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Dad, the bank called me. What the hell did you do? I stared at it for a long moment. Then I typed back, I protected my assets. Something you should understand. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally. We need to talk. I'm coming by the house tomorrow. The house you tried to steal? I don't think so. That's not what happened. You're confused. I have the quitclaim deed, the one with my forged signature. The dots stopped. No response for 5 minutes. Then, you're making a huge mistake. I didn't reply. Instead, I turned off my phone and sat in the quiet of the storage unit, listening to the distant hum of traffic on the highway. Jennifer would come, tomorrow or the day after or sometime soon. She'd try to smooth things over, gaslight me into thinking I was wrong or confused or incompetent. But I had documents now, evidence. And more importantly, I had time and focus. I locked up the storage unit and drove home. The house felt different now, not like a trap, but like temporary quarters. a place I was passing through on my way to something else. I made a sandwich with bread Mike had sent money for and ate it slowly, tasting every bite. Then I went to bed, setting my alarm for 6 a.m. Tomorrow, I'd start surveillance. The camera outside Jennifer's condo captured something interesting on Friday night. Derek came back. Not to stay, he only had one bag. They talked in the hallway for 15 minutes. I couldn't hear what they said, but body language told the story. Derek angry, Jennifer defensive. At one point, he shoved papers at her. She threw them back. Then he left, and she sat on the floor outside her door, head in her hands. I watched the footage twice, downloaded it, added it to my collection. Saturday morning, I did something that surprised me. I called Mike Torres. Tom, hey, haven't heard from you since the money transfer. Everything working out? It's complicated. Can I buy you lunch? Of course. Luigi's at noon? See you there. Luigi's was a neighborhood Italian place with decent food and zero atmosphere. Perfect for conversation without distraction. Mike was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth. You look like hell, he said. I feel like hell. What's going on? I told him. Not everything, but the main points. The investigation I'd done, the documents I'd sent, the spray paint on my door. Mike listened without interrupting. When I finished, he sat back and exhaled slowly. Jesus, Tom. Yeah. Look, I get it. I'm not saying she didn't deserve exposure, but you're in dangerous territory here. Harassment, stalking, these are real charges. I haven't harassed anyone. I sent factual documents to relevant parties. You followed her. You photographed her without consent. In public places, that's legal. Legal and smart are different things. He leaned forward. What's the end game here? Seriously. What do you want? I want her to understand what she did. She understands. You've made that abundantly clear, so what now? I didn't have an answer. I'd been so focused on the execution, I hadn't thought past it. You need to decide if this is about justice or revenge, Mike said. Because justice has limits. Revenge doesn't. And that's how people end up in situations they can't get out of. She forged my signature, stole $18,000, left me to starve. And you've exposed her affair, damaged her career, and destroyed her marriage. I'd say you're even. It's not about being even? Then what is it about? I stared at the breadsticks on the table. When I opened that empty refrigerator, I felt something I've never felt before. Complete abandonment. By the one person who was supposed to give a damn. And she did it knowingly, deliberately, while she was drinking cocktails on a beach. I understand that. I do. But Tom, you're letting this consume you. You've got a storage unit full of surveillance footage. You're following her around. You're plotting next moves. This isn't healthy. What's healthy? Letting her get away with it? No. But there's middle ground between letting it go and becoming obsessed. He paused. You said you wanted her to feel afraid. Do you hear yourself? That's not the Tom Bennett I've known for 15 years. Maybe that Tom Bennett was a fool. Maybe he was a good man who got hurt and is now making bad decisions. I didn't respond. The waiter came and took our orders. After he left, Mike spoke more quietly. I'm worried about you. Not just legally, though that's a real concern. I'm worried about what this is doing to you. The anger, the focus on punishment. It's corrosive. You're saying I should just forgive her? I'm saying you should focus on rebuilding your life instead of destroying hers. Get the pension sorted. Maybe sell the house and move somewhere fresh. Find something that makes you happy instead of something that makes you angry. I can't just let this go. You can. You just don't want to. The food came. We ate in silence for a while. Mike was right, of course. I knew it logically, but logic wasn't driving this anymore. When we finished, Mike grabbed the check. I'm paying. Consider it an investment in keeping you out of jail. Mike, Tom, seriously, promise me you'll think about what I said. The revenge path doesn't have a good ending. I'll think about it. He looked unconvinced, but didn't push further. I drove home and sat in the driveway for 20 minutes, thinking about Mike's words. He was offering me an exit ramp, a way to walk away before things escalated beyond repair. The reasonable part of my brain knew I should take it, but there was another part. The part that had been growing since I'd seen those vacation postcards, that wasn't interested in reasonable. That part wanted Jennifer to hurt the way I'd hurt, and it wasn't satisfied yet. I went to the storage unit. The walls were covered now, photos, documents, timeline. It looked like something from a crime show, the obsessed detective's lair. Maybe that's what I'd become. I sat at the folding table and opened my notebook. I'd been tracking Jennifer's movements for 2 weeks. I knew her schedule better than she did. I knew where she went, who she saw, what she did. I also knew her vulnerabilities. Her job was hanging by a thread. The affair had gotten back to the hotel management, and they were watching her closely. One more mistake, and she'd be gone. Derek had filed for legal separation. I'd seen the papers in the hallway footage. Her relationship with Ryan Foster was over. He'd blocked her on social media. She was isolated, stressed, probably not sleeping well. In other words, vulnerable. The question was whether I wanted to push her over the edge or let her rebuild. I thought about that empty refrigerator, the specific feeling of opening the door and seeing nothing, the realization that I'd been abandoned. I thought about the forged quitclaim deed, the premeditation required to do that, the cold calculation, and I thought about her face in the hallway footage, sitting on the floor with her head in her hands. The consequences were real. She was feeling them. Was that enough? I closed the notebook and locked up the storage unit. At home, I sat at the kitchen table and looked at the refrigerator. It was full now. I'd restocked it with Mike's money, but I couldn't look at it without remembering. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Mr. Bennett? This is Caitlin Ross from the Maritime. I'm the general manager. Yes? I wanted to speak with you about the documents you sent regarding Jennifer Bennett. Okay. First, I want to thank you. The affair with a guest was a serious violation of our policies, and we might not have discovered it without your information. You're welcome. However, I'm calling because Jennifer has made some concerning statements about her home situation. She claims you've been harassing her, following her, threatening her safety. I haven't threatened anyone. I'm not making accusations, Mr. Bennett. I'm just sharing what she's told us. She's requested a leave of absence, citing mental health concerns related to family stress. Is that all? I wanted to ask, are you planning to continue contact with her? Depends on what she does next. I see. Well, I appreciate your honesty. I won't keep you. I just wanted to touch base. After she hung up, I sat there processing. Jennifer was framing this as me being the aggressor, creating a narrative where she was the victim, classic move, deflect, reframe, play for sympathy. But it was also smart. If she could convince people I was the problem, the focus shifted away from what she'd done. My phone rang again. This time I recognized the number, the county assessor's office. Mr. Bennett, this is Rachel from the assessor's office. We've received a request to investigate the quitclaim deed filed on your property in March. Can you come in this week to discuss? Absolutely. When? Tuesday at 10? I'll be there. This was good. If the county was investigating the forgery, that gave me official backing. I wasn't just a vindictive father anymore. I was the victim of document fraud. Tuesday morning, I met with Rachel and a county investigator named Frank Sullivan. They'd pulled all the paperwork related to the quitclaim deed. Mr. Bennett, we've examined the signature on this document and compared it to other documents you filed. We have concerns about authenticity. It's forged. I never signed that. Can you provide documentation of where you were on March 15th, the date this was notarized? I pulled out my calendar. I was at a VA appointment that day, 2 p.m. I have the confirmation paperwork. Rachel made notes. The notary who certified this is someone named Linda Voss. We've looked into her license. It's active, but she's been flagged before for improper verification procedures. Meaning she's known to notarize documents without proper ID checks, sometimes for a fee. We're investigating whether she knowingly participated in fraud or was simply negligent. Frank Sullivan spoke up. Mr. Bennett, if this proves to be forgery, we can void the quitclaim deed. But I have to ask, do you want to press criminal charges? Against Jennifer? Against whoever forged your signature and whoever facilitated it? I hesitated. Criminal charges meant police, prosecutors, potentially jail time. It meant making this official and irreversible. It also meant justice. Real justice, not just my personal vendetta. Yes, I said. I want to press charges. We'll need you to make a formal statement. I'll coordinate with the district attorney's office. The process took hours, statement forms, signatures, identification verification. But when I left, I had official documentation that a fraud investigation was underway. That changed everything. This wasn't me versus Jennifer anymore. This was the county versus Jennifer. I called Mike Torres from the car. Tom, hey, how'd the meeting go? They're investigating, likely fraud charges. Good. That's the right way to handle this. Mike, I need advice on something else. Jennifer's telling people I'm harassing her, creating a narrative where she's the victim. That's predictable. She's protecting herself. What kind of evidence does she have? The documents I sent to her work, the photos, my phone calls. None of that's harassment if it's true and you're not threatening her. But Tom, you need to stop all contact now, seriously. Let the legal process handle it. If you keep pushing, she can get a restraining order, and that'll complicate everything. I haven't contacted her in days. Good. Keep it that way. Focus on your life. Let the county do its job. After we hung up, I sat in the parking lot and thought about what Mike had said. He was right. I needed to let the system work, but there was still one thing I wanted to do. One final move that would make the point complete. I drove to the storage unit and retrieved a specific envelope. Inside were copies of all the bank statements, the forged deed, the photos of Jennifer with Ryan, and a letter I'd written explaining everything in detail. The recipient, Jennifer's mother, Diane, my ex-wife. We'd divorced 20 years ago, not because of any dramatic betrayal, just incompatibility. We'd stayed civil for Jennifer's sake, but Diane had never been particularly warm toward me. She'd blamed me for the divorce, for not being present enough, for prioritizing work over family. But Diane loved Jennifer, fiercely, and if anyone could make Jennifer understand the gravity of what she'd done, it was her mother. I mailed the envelope. Then I went home, threw away all my surveillance equipment, and cleaned out the storage unit. The photos came down, the timeline, the notebooks, everything went into garbage bags. I kept the official documents, the bank statements, the quitclaim deed, the investigation paperwork, but the rest, the obsessive tracking and planning, went into the dumpster. Mike was right. I'd made my point. The legal system was involved now. Continuing down this path would only damage me further. I spent the next few days in a strange calm, no more surveillance, no more planning. I just lived, fixed things around the house, read books from the library, cooked simple meals. It felt strange to not have a target anymore. Then, Friday afternoon, my phone rang. Diane. Tom, I received your package. Diane? Is all of this true? Every word, every document. A long silence. Then, I'm flying out tomorrow. We need to talk. All three of us. I don't think Jennifer wants to talk to me. I don't care what she wants. This is happening. She hung up before I could respond. Saturday evening, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Diane and Jennifer standing on my porch. Diane looked older than I remembered, but still carried herself with the same steel confidence. Jennifer looked like she'd been crying for days. May we come in? Diane asked. I stepped aside. We sat in the living room. Diane in the armchair, Jennifer and I on opposite ends of the couch, like hostile strangers. Diane set her purse down and looked at both of us. I've reviewed everything Tom sent me. Jennifer, I need you to explain. Start with the power of attorney. Mom, he's exaggerating. Don't lie to me. I've seen the bank statements. $18,000. Explain. Jennifer's voice was small. Derek and I needed help. Dad's pension was just sitting there, and he wasn't using it all. I thought, you thought you'd steal it while he starved. I didn't think he was starving. He never said, he shouldn't have to say, he's your father. Diane's voice was cold fury. I'd never heard her like this, not in all our years together. The affair, Diane continued. The forged deed. The vacation while your father couldn't pay his electric bill. Explain any of it. I made mistakes. I know that. But Dad's been vindictive. He's destroyed my life. Your life? Diane's voice rose. You destroyed his first. Everything you're experiencing now is consequences. That's not vindictiveness. That's cause and effect. Jennifer started crying. I didn't mean for it to go this far. What did you mean? When you took his money, what was the plan? I thought he wouldn't notice, or that he'd just accept it. He's always been passive, always let people walk over him. I spoke for the first time. Not anymore. Diane turned to me. Tom, the criminal investigation. Are you proceeding? Yes. Even if Jennifer pays back the money? The money's not the point anymore. Then what is? Accountability. She needs to face what she did. Not smooth it over, not explain it away, actually face it. Diane nodded slowly. I agree. She turned to Jennifer. You're going to pay back every dollar. You're going to cooperate fully with the investigation, and you're going to accept whatever consequences come from that. Do you understand? Mom, do you understand? Yes. And Tom, Diane said, turning to me, you're going to stop the surveillance, the vendetta, all of it. You've made your point. The system is handling it. Let it go. I already have. She studied my face. Good. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Diane stood. Jennifer, say what you need to say to your father. We're leaving in 10 minutes. She went outside, leaving Jennifer and me alone. Jennifer looked at me with red eyes. I'm sorry. I really am. I convinced myself it was okay that I was helping us both, but I was just helping myself, and I let you suffer for it. Why'd you do it? Because I could. Because you trusted me, and I took advantage. There's no good reason. I was selfish and cruel. Yes, you were. Can you forgive me? I thought about that. Could I? Should I? I don't know. Maybe eventually, but not now. She nodded. I understand. Jennifer, I want you to know something. What I did, the documents, the exposure, I don't regret it. You needed to feel consequences. You needed to understand that actions matter. I understand now. Do you? Because understanding and just saying the words are different things. I understand. I promise. She left. I watched through the window as she and Diane drove away. Then I was alone again, in the quiet house. I walked to the kitchen and opened the refrigerator. Full shelves, milk, eggs, fresh vegetables, everything I needed. But I still remembered what empty looked like. I'd never forget that. The district attorney's office called on Monday. They wanted to move forward with fraud charges. Jennifer had been officially notified. Arraignment was set for 3 weeks out. I hung up and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no triumph. Just hollow acknowledgement that wheels were turning. The house felt too quiet. I'd spent weeks in motion, planning, executing, tracking, and now there was nothing to do but wait. I started projects around the house to fill time, fixed the leaking faucet in the bathroom, repainted the kitchen, organized the garage, normal maintenance. The kind of thing I'd done for decades. But it felt different now, like I was preparing the house for sale, though I hadn't decided to sell it. Just making it clean and functional the way you do when you're not sure what comes next. Mrs. Pacheco came by with cookies on Wednesday. Tom, I heard Jennifer was arrested. She wasn't arrested. She was charged. Different thing. Still, the whole neighborhood's talking. I bet they are. Some people think you're being too harsh. But I told them you don't abandon family. Whatever she's facing, she brought on herself. Thanks, Patricia. After she left, I thought about what she'd said. Some people think you're being too harsh. Maybe they were right. Maybe I'd crossed lines that couldn't be uncrossed. But when I thought about that empty refrigerator, about deliberately timed utility cutoffs and forged signatures, the doubt faded. The phone rang. Helen Briggs. Tom, I heard some things through the grapevine. You doing okay? Define okay. Fair point. Listen, a bunch of us old-timers from the hospital are getting together next week. Nothing fancy, just drinks at Murphy's Tavern. You should come. I don't know, Helen. Come. You need to be around people who knew you before all this mess. People who remember you as competent and solid, not as someone's victim or someone's enemy. I'll think about it. Don't think. Just show up. 7 p.m. Tuesday? She hung up before I could argue. I spent the next few days in a strange routine. Morning coffee, small repairs, lunch alone, more projects, evening TV, sleep, repeat. It was peaceful in its way, but also suffocating. I'd spent so long focused on Jennifer and revenge that I'd forgotten how to just exist, how to fill time with something other than anger and planning. Tuesday evening, I went to Murphy's Tavern. The old hospital crew was there. Helen, Mike Torres, Gary Mendez, a few others I recognized. They welcomed me with handshakes and backslaps, pulled up a chair, bought me a beer. For 3 hours, we talked about everything except Jennifer. Old war stories from the hospital, broken boilers and flooded basements, the time a contractor accidentally drilled through a gas line, the notorious emergency generator that failed during every inspection until I figured out the intake filter was installed backward. Normal memories from a normal career. You were the best facilities manager we ever had, Gary said, a little drunk. When you retired, I thought, there's no way I can fill those shoes. And I was right. I'm still figuring out half the systems you knew by instinct. You're doing fine, Gary. Nah, man. You were a legend. Everyone knew if something was broken, Bennett would fix it. No drama, no excuses. Just got it done. Helen raised her glass. To Tom Bennett, who taught us all that maintenance isn't glamorous, but it's the backbone of everything. They all drank. I felt something in my chest loosen, just slightly. This is who I used to be. Competent, reliable, the guy who fixed things, not the guy obsessed with destroying his daughter. I stayed until closing, then got a ride home from Mike. Good night? He asked. Yeah, it was. You seemed different, more like yourself. Maybe I'm remembering who that is. He pulled up to my house. Tom, whatever happens with Jennifer, don't lose sight of who you are. You're a good man who got hurt, but you're still good. Don't forget that. I'll try. That night, I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, I got a call from Frank Sullivan, the county investigator. "Mr. Bennett, we've completed our investigation. The signature on the quitclaim deed is definitely forged. The notary, Linda Voss, has admitted to accepting payment from Jennifer Bennett to certify documents without proper verification. We're filing charges against both of them, Jennifer for forgery and conspiracy, Linda for notary fraud." What happens now? The DA will prosecute. Given the evidence, it's likely Jennifer will be offered a plea deal. First offense, she'll probably get probation, fines, and restitution, but she'll have a criminal record. And the house? The quitclaim deed is voided. Your property rights are fully restored. Jennifer has no claim. Thank you. After he hung up, I sat at the kitchen table and stared at the wall. It was over. The legal part anyway. Jennifer would face consequences, real ones, official ones. The house was secure. My pension was back under my control. I'd won. If this was a war, I'd won decisively. So why did I feel empty? I spent the afternoon thinking about that, about what victory actually meant. I'd wanted Jennifer to understand consequences. She would. I'd wanted accountability. She'd get it. I'd wanted to stop being a victim. 3 months later, my life had settled into something resembling routine. The handyman business with Helen was actually making money. Not much, but enough to feel legitimate. We'd done 14 jobs in 2 months, everything from leaking roofs to broken garage doors. Word of mouth brought more work than we could handle. "We should hire someone," Helen said one afternoon while we were replacing a water heater in someone's basement. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves." "I'm serious. We're turning away jobs. That's lost money. We're retired people doing this for something to do, not to build an empire." "Speak for yourself. I'm building an empire." I laughed. It felt good to laugh. The pension deposits came through reliably now, directly to my account. I'd built my savings back up to $4,000. Not where it should have been, but progress. Jennifer's restitution payments arrived monthly, $300, automatically transferred. She was keeping her end of the agreement. I'd seen her once since the arraignment, purely by accident. I was having coffee at a shop downtown when she walked in. We made eye contact across the room. She started to approach, then thought better of it. Just nodded. I nodded back. She got her coffee and left. It wasn't warm, but it wasn't hostile either. Just two people acknowledging each other's existence. Mike Torres called that evening. "Tom, I'm having a barbecue this Saturday. Just some people from the old days. Helen's coming. You should too." "I appreciate it, but..." "No buts. You've been hermiting. Come eat a burger and remember how to socialize." "I socialize. With customers who are paying you. That's not the same. Saturday, 3 p.m. Be there." He hung up before I could argue further. Saturday came. I almost didn't go, but Helen texted, "If you bail, I'm going to show up at your house and drag you there myself." I believed her. Mike's backyard was full of people I recognized from the hospital days. Maintenance crew, nurses, a couple of doctors who'd always been friendly. Everyone was older, grayer, thicker around the middle, but the energy was the same. Easy conversation, bad jokes, the comfortable familiarity of people who'd shared something meaningful. "Tom Bennett," Mike's wife Sarah hugged me. "It's been forever. How are you?" "I'm okay. Getting there. We heard about what happened with Jennifer. I'm so sorry." "It is what it is." "Well, you look good. Healthy. That's what matters." The afternoon passed pleasantly. I ate too much, drank a couple beers, laughed at stories I'd heard before but enjoyed hearing again. Around sunset, Mike pulled me aside. "How are you really doing?" "Honestly, better than I expected." "No more revenge plans?" "No more revenge plans." "Good. Because I was worried about you for a while there. You had a look in your eyes that scared me." "I scared myself too, if I'm being honest." "But you pulled back. That takes strength." "Or just exhaustion." "I'll take either. You staying for fireworks?" "Fireworks? 4th of July's next week. I'm testing the ones I bought. Very illegal, very fun." I stayed. The fireworks were loud and excessive and probably violated 3 city ordinances. We stood in the backyard like kids, oohing and aahing at the explosions. It was stupid and perfect. Driving home that night, I realized I hadn't thought about Jennifer all day. Not with anger or bitterness or calculation. She'd just been absent from my thoughts completely. That felt like progress. The next week, I got a letter from the VA. My disability claim from the old ladder injury had finally been approved. Small monthly payment, but it helped. More importantly, it came with health care access I'd been putting off utilizing. I scheduled a physical. Everything came back reasonably healthy for a 61-year-old who'd spent decades climbing ladders and crawling through mechanical spaces. You're in good shape, the doctor said, but you should be exercising more. Walking, swimming, something to keep the joints mobile. I started walking every morning. Nothing dramatic, just 30 minutes around the neighborhood. I'd see the same people, Mrs. Pacheco watering her garden, the kids waiting for the school bus, the guy who ran every morning with his dog. Normal life, mundane and beautiful. One morning, about a month after Mike's barbecue, I was walking past the elementary school when I saw Jennifer. She was dropping off someone's kids. Babysitting, I assumed, given that she and Derek hadn't had children. She saw me and hesitated, then walked over. "Hi, Dad. Jennifer, you look good." "So do you." And she did. Not the polished, controlled version from before, but healthier, less stressed. Her hair was simpler, no expensive salon cut. Her clothes were plain, but she looked more genuine. "I'm working 3 jobs now," she said. "Retail, babysitting, and weekend catering. It's exhausting, but I'm managing." "That's good." I wanted to say, "I got your address, your real address, I mean. I thought about writing, but I didn't know if you'd want that." "What would you have said?" "That I'm sorry. That I understand why you did what you did. That I hope someday we can have coffee without it being awkward." "Is today that day?" She looked surprised. "I don't know, is it? I thought about it. There's a diner 2 blocks from here, Ernie's Place, you know it?" "I do." "Meet me there in an hour. 1 cup of coffee. We'll see how it goes." "Okay, thank you, Dad." I walked home, showered, and drove to Ernie's. I got there first and claimed a booth by the window, ordered coffee, and waited. She showed up exactly an hour later, sat across from me. The waitress came and Jennifer ordered tea. For a few minutes, we didn't talk, just sat in the awkward silence of 2 people who didn't know how to be around each other anymore. Finally, Jennifer spoke. "How's the handyman business?" "Good. Staying busy." I saw the flyer at the senior center. "Bennett and Briggs, no job too small." "That's you?" "That's us." "I'm glad. You were always happiest when you were fixing things." "Yeah." More silence. Then, "Dad, I know I can't undo what I did. I know saying sorry doesn't fix it, but I need you to know I've changed. Not because I got caught, but because I had to look at who I'd become, and I hated it." "Good. Good. If you'd made excuses or tried to minimize it, we wouldn't be having this conversation. The fact that you owned it, that's something." She nodded. "The probation officer said the same thing, that accountability is the first step." "How's the restitution going?" "On schedule. I'll have it paid back in 2.5 years at this rate." "You know I don't care about the money anymore, right?" "I know, but I care. I need to pay it back. For me." We talked for another 30 minutes. Not about the past, mostly. About what we were doing now. She told me about the kids she babysat, how exhausting but rewarding it was. I told her about a job where Helen and I had to rescue a cat from a crawl space while fixing a furnace. It wasn't deep or emotional, but it was civil, maybe even friendly. When we stood to leave, she hesitated. "Can we do this again? Maybe next month?" "Maybe. Let's see." "Okay, thank you for giving me a chance." I watched her walk to her car. She drove off, and I sat back down in the booth for a moment. The waitress refilled my coffee. "That's your daughter?" "Yeah." "Rough patch?" "You could say that." "You 2 look like you're working it out." "Maybe. Time will tell." I paid the check and drove home. The house felt different lately, less like a crime scene, more like a home again. That evening, Diane called. "Jennifer told me you 2 had coffee." "We did?" "How'd it go?" "It was okay. Civil." "That's more than I expected. Thank you, Tom." "I didn't do it for you." "I know, but thank you anyway. She needs her father, even if the relationship is different now. We'll see what happens. That's all I can ask." After we hung up, I thought about what Diane had said. She needs her father. Did she? Or did she just need absolution? I didn't know. But I knew I wasn't ready to be what I used to be to her. The blind trust, the unconditional support, that was gone. Maybe forever. But maybe there was something else. Something more honest, built on clear boundaries and mutual respect. Or maybe not. Maybe this was just one coffee and then nothing. Either way, I'd made my peace with it. The next day, Helen and I were installing a ceiling fan when she asked, "You see Jennifer?" "Yesterday. Had coffee." "How was it?" "Weird, but not terrible." "You thinking about forgiving her?" "I don't know. What does that even look like?" "Hell if I know. I haven't talked to my brother in 8 years. But I'm also not losing sleep over it." "Why not?" "Because forgiveness is overrated. Some people think you have to forgive to move on. But that's bullshit. You just have to stop carrying the anger. You can move on and still hold people accountable. That's pretty wise, Helen. I have my moments. We finished the fan. The homeowner paid us in cash and gave Helen a hug. You two are lifesavers. My husband tried to install this last week and almost electrocuted himself. That's what we're here for, Helen said. Driving back, I thought about what Helen had said. You can move on and still hold people accountable. That felt right. I didn't have to forgive Jennifer to stop being angry. I just had to accept that the past was the past and focus on the present. That night, I did something I hadn't done in months. I pulled out old photo albums, pictures from when Jennifer was young, birthday parties, Christmas mornings, school plays. She'd been a good kid, mostly. Smart, energetic, occasionally stubborn, but nothing unusual. When had she changed? Or had she always been capable of what she'd done, and I'd just never seen it? I didn't have answers. But looking at the photos didn't hurt the way I thought it would. They were just memories, pieces of a life that had happened. I put the albums away and went to bed. The next morning, I got a call from Frank Sullivan, the county investigator. Mr. Bennett, I wanted to update you. Linda Voss, the notary, took a plea deal. She's paying a fine and losing her license. Jennifer's probation is proceeding without issues. I think we can close this case officially. That's good news? One more thing. The county wants to recognize you for bringing the fraud to our attention. There's an award ceremony next month for citizens who assist in investigations. You'd get a certificate and a small cash honorarium. Interested? I'll think about it. Let me know. And Tom? You did the right thing. A lot of people would have let this slide out of embarrassment or fear. You stood up for yourself. That matters. After he hung up, I sat with that. You did the right thing. Had I? It felt complicated. I'd exposed Jennifer, pursued charges, systematically dismantled her life. That was justice, legally. But was it right? I thought about the empty refrigerator again. The betrayal, the forged signature. Yeah, it was right. Maybe not kind, maybe not merciful, but right. I called Frank back. I'll accept the award. Thank you. The ceremony was small and bureaucratic. 12 people receiving various commendations for helping the county in different ways. I got my certificate and a check for $500. Shook hands with people I didn't know. Smiled for a photo. Jennifer wasn't there. I hadn't told her about it. That felt appropriate. Afterward, Helen took me to dinner. So now you're an award-winning citizen investigator? I'm an old man who refused to get robbed. Potato, potato. I'm proud of you, Tom. For what? For not letting her get away with it. For standing up. For being tough when you needed to be and then knowing when to stop. I almost didn't stop. But you did. That's what counts. We ate steaks and drank too much wine. Helen told stories about her own family drama. An estranged daughter-in-law, a grandson who only called when he needed money. Every family had fractures, she said. Every family had pain. The trick is deciding which relationships are worth repairing and which are better left broken, she said. Some things can't be fixed, and that's okay. Is that what you think about me and Jennifer? I think it's too early to tell, but I think you're doing it right. Boundaries, slow steps. Diane wants us to be a family again. Diane isn't the one who got robbed. Fair point. The weeks continued. Work, walks, occasional dinners with friends. Jennifer texted once in a while, never asking for anything, just small updates. I responded sometimes. Other times I didn't. It felt honest. One afternoon, I was fixing a broken step on Mrs. Pacheco's porch when a car pulled up. Derek got out. I straightened up. Derek. Mr. Bennett, can we talk? About what? About what I did, or didn't do. About Jennifer. I set down my hammer. Go ahead. I should have stopped her. When I realized what she was doing with your money, I should have said something. But I didn't. I told myself it wasn't my place, that it was between you and her. But that was cowardice. Yeah, it was. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For my part in this. I benefited from what she took, and I didn't question it hard enough. Are you doing this because you want something, or because you actually feel bad? Both, honestly. I feel bad. But I also wanted to see if there was any chance you'd write a letter for the divorce proceedings, just stating that I cooperated, that I didn't know about the forgery. You want me to help you? I know I don't deserve it, but I'm asking anyway. I thought about it. Derek had been weak, not malicious. He'd gone along with Jennifer's plan, but hadn't driven it. I'll write the letter, but we're not friends after this. Clear? Clear. Thank you, Mr. Bennett. He left. I went back to fixing the step. Mrs. Pacheco came out with lemonade. That was Jennifer's husband? Ex-husband, basically. He looked ashamed. He should be. You're a good man, Tom Bennett. Even when you're angry, you're fair. I try. That night, I wrote the letter, kept it factual. Derek Cooper was not involved in the forgery or fraud. He cooperated with the investigation fully. While he benefited from funds that were taken without proper authorization, there's no evidence he knew the full extent of what was happening. I mailed it to Derek's lawyer and deleted the file from my computer. Another thread tied off. By the time fall arrived, I'd established a new normal. Work filled my days, friends filled my evenings, the house was maintained and comfortable, my finances were stable, Jennifer and I had coffee twice more. The conversations were easier each time. We talked about surface things mostly. Work, the weather, shows we were watching. Nothing deep. But it was something. One evening she asked, "Do you think we'll ever be close again?" I considered lying, but lies were what got us here. I don't know. Maybe a different kind of close. Not what we had before. What did we have before? Blind trust on my part, and on yours, the belief that you could do anything without consequences. She flinched but nodded. That's fair. I'm not saying we can't rebuild something, but it'll be different, more honest, less automatic. I'll take that. We finished our coffee. As we stood to leave, she said, "Dad, I know this is complicated, but I'm grateful you're giving me a chance. I know you didn't have to. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it because I want to know if I'm capable of it. And? Still figuring that out." She smiled sadly. Okay, thank you anyway. I watched her drive away, then sat back down. The diner was nearly empty. Just me and an elderly couple in the corner booth, holding hands across the table. That's what trust looked like. After decades together, still choosing each other. Jennifer and I were nowhere near that. Might never be. But we were talking. That was a start.